Good morning, good morning, good morning. That was the fastest transition from live writing sprints to newsletter chat that I probably have ever done. And so I feel bad. I feel like I cut everybody off in newsletter chat, but here we are. Hopefully everyone will kind of migrate over if they're interested in seeing what we're doing over here. But good morning. I'm in a much better mood now than I was at the beginning of writing sprints. If you were there or if you go back and watch it, you'll see I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do any work. And I was whining about it for everyone to hear. And my hair still looks like I came out because I did. I just came right out of bed. I stayed in bed as long as possible. This is still yesterday's hair. No makeup. You're welcome. But this is it. This is me. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming to Newsletter Chat, where we discuss all things newsletters. Oh, who am I? Sorry about that. My name is Jennifer Carll-Tong. I am an author of Christian romance, currently published with Christian historical romance. Book 3, A Calling for Phoebe, available now wherever fine books are sold. Um, so I am some people, I keep calling myself a novice at newsletters, but people correct me because I've been doing this for a while. And I am here to just chat with you because I don't believe I'm an expert, but we can learn as we go. And I think it's so important to have community, especially in the Christian field, because when I started as an author, there were not YouTube channels out there or podcasts to listen to. Oh, by the way, yes, I'm also part of the Christian Indie Writers podcast. You might recognize me from that. And so let's just do this together. And so today's topic I wanted to talk about to get the chat rolling is I wanted to talk about spam. All things spammy, spam, spam. So what is spam? Spam is a folder that you can end up at, and Gmail is the king of putting emails into spam, which as a consumer I appreciate, but as a newsletter provider, like producer, it can be sometimes a little bit off-putting because you have to be very careful about how you do your newsletters. But the spam folder is where they think that you are trying to spam people, really. Like, maybe somebody didn't request this email, which never, ever, ever send an email to anyone who hasn't signed up for your newsletter. Don't just add people to your newsletter. I think that goes, your subscribers. I think that goes without saying, but I should probably just say it anyway. Don't ever do that. So I don't think I end up in spam very often, but I do often end up in the promotions tab on Gmail. Now, understand the mass majority of my subscribers are Gmail, like a huge portion of them are Gmail. So that's why I focus my efforts on Gmail, because that's really where I'm going to get the most bang for my buck. And should I be in the promotions tab? Of course. I'm promoting my books and I'm promoting sales and I'm promoting other people's books. So I should be there. Do I want to be there? No, I want to show up in the very first tab because I don't even look at my promotions tab hardly ever. So I want to be in somebody's regular email. So there are ways that you can try to avoid that. We're going to talk about that today. I did a little bit of research and everybody had the same information. So to be honest, I'm not really sure who started with the information and then everybody just kind of copies it. But I did get this from ConvertKit. No, I'm sorry, ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign is similar to MailerLite. It is a company that you can sign up with to aggregate your newsletters. Ooh, getting warm in here. It's so cold in Michigan. Look at me in a sweatshirt in June. But all of a sudden it's warming up. Whew. Or I'm having a hot flash. Maybe. Could be one or the other. I don't know. Okay, so I got my information from ActiveCampaign. And there it is, 188 spam words to avoid. So I'm going to sit here the rest of this episode and just read all 188. No, I'm not going to do that. No, we're going to talk about, you can go and look for that. There are all kinds of companies, good companies like ActiveCampaign, MailerLite, that have blog posts about the words that you should avoid. And we'll talk about that at the end. But I want to go through, and specifically, we're going to talk about how to end up in the spam folder. Because I know that it's everybody's goal is to end up in the spam. Why do I have a part in the middle of my head like I'm balding there? Because I'm balding there. How to end up in the spam folder. Now, this is something you don't want to do, obviously. So I'm going to show you some things that you may already be doing that might be putting you there. All right. So first of all, we need to use spammy words if we want to end up in the spam folder. So what are spammy words? You can Google this. So I'm not going to list them all out. I was kidding when I said I was going to list out the 188. But the two that I see most commonly in authors' emails are free and deal. Don't want to miss this deal. Don't use that word. Free, I see all the time and I was using it. I didn't know this was a bad thing. Even in my onboarding sequence, I had them that said, here's your free copy. Here's your free copy of Avoiding Esther. Don't do that. How about looking for free books? Because I did that too, because I'm part of all of these different promotions with other authors where we offer our first in series that's free. And I would promote theirs and I say, I have another free book for you in the subject line, especially the subject line. I'm specifically talking about the subject line for this. But if you can avoid free in the entire email, you're going to be better off because Gmail scans it, and that is one of the biggest trigger words for them. So Google search spammy words, see if you're using any of the main target ones, and then try to use other ones. So instead of free now, I say, here's your gift. Promotion, don't use the word promotion. Like that's another one that I use a ton because I'm part of these things that are called promotions, but I can't use that word anymore. So I have had to find some creative ways, and we'll talk at the end about ways to find good subject lines, how to write good subject lines. So first of all, or if you want to end up in the spam folder, use spammy words. The second thing you should do if you want to end up in the spam folder is use all caps. I don't know why people do this. Like when I was coming out of college, now I'm no spring chicken. When I graduated college in 95, AOL was kind of a hot thing. You guys remember AOL? If you don't remember AOL, you are too young to be talking to me right now. AOL was before texting. AOL was before Tinder. It covered it all. Trust me. Like there'd be chat rooms and you can go into them that you thought were going to be talking about literature. And next thing you know, someone's hitting on you. It was great. It was glorious. I say with a little bit of sarcasm. But I was I didn't know what AOL was. And I was at my friend's apartment, still lived in Boston. And she was showing me, she had me log in and I'm chatting in this room. And then this person starts all capsing me and I didn't think anything of it. And she's like, you need to leave that room. I'm like, why? I'm like, she's yelling at you. I don't remember what I said or did to offend them. Clearly I just have a natural knack for that. But the all caps thing has always stuck with me that means someone's yelling. So when you put it in your subject line, maybe you're trying to be like, I got this great deal for you. But all it is doing is, look at me, put me in spam. So stop using all caps anywhere in your newsletter, but especially in your subject line. Nobody wants all caps. Next, if you want to end up in spam, use exclamation points in your subject line. This hurts me to the core. Let me just tell you. If you see my Twitter account, I might still have it on Instagram too. In my bio, I say that something about how I overuse or I'm a lover of exclamation points. I am. I don't tweet very often anymore, but when I do, like I feel like exclamation points are fun. And I don't know. I just all of a sudden realized as I was scanning through my Twitter account, like everything has exclamation points. In Twitter, it's fine. No big deal. But in your subject line, exclamation points will get you in the spam folder. It's okay in the actual body of the email, but avoid it in your subject lines if at all possible. Use colorful and different size fonts. Now we're talking about in the email. Now, okay, so this is a little difficult for me because as you can see, I'm all graphically. Like I love graphics. I love my book covers. I love to do graphics for my emails, for my website. But the problem is that the more graphics you have, the more that it looks like it's spam. It should be in the spam folder. Because let's think about this. If your friend Susie Q is going to send you a personal email, is she going to put a bunch of pictures in it? Is she going to have a header with pictures in it? No, she's not. So she's not going to end up in spam. But when my email gets scanned, is it going to look like I'm a promotional deal or that there's something wrong with my email? So this hurts me to the core because I like pretty emails. So it has to be a good balance. I still put images in my emails because I won't end up in spam specifically for that, but I could possibly end up in the promotions tab, which we've talked about in past episodes. But the use of colorful and different size fonts. This one kind of not confused me, but like worried me because there's a lot of people out there. Like if my mom, she doesn't still email. My mom has dementia, but before she was sick, if she were to email, it would not be a big deal for her to change the font size and have different colors. And just because, why not? Why not make it fun? But that is something that will put you in the spam folder. So do not change your font size. Have a consistent font size throughout, unless it's specifically a header. This is what's great about companies like MailerLite, which I use, is because the header can be different size without it looking like it's spammy. If you want to end up in the spam folder, don't check your links for broken links. Why would you waste the time doing that? Clearly, once I did not waste the time doing that. I thought for sure I was all set and I sent it out, and it wasn't until like after I had hit send that I thought I should check my links. And I checked my links and one of them was wrong. I had copied and pasted the same, like it was just wrong. So then I had to send out another email to my email list saying, "I'm so sorry. Here's the proper link," which actually worked in my favor because everybody opened that one. They didn't open the first one, but they opened that one, and that really is the link that I wanted them to click on. So that in that case, it kind of worked out in my favor. But in general, there's a reason why companies like MailerLite let you preview the email and let you send a test email because you need to test everything, especially the links. If you have broken links, that will get you sent to spam post haste. Also, the final thing, and this is the biggest mistake you can make, and this will be the easiest way to end up in the spam folder, is don't include an unsubscribe button. You must include a unsubscribe button in your email. So this happened to me recently, not me. I did not send, I always have an unsubscribe, even in my onboarding sequence, even in my letter saying, here's your gift. I put an unsubscribe button in there because if somebody doesn't want to be there, I don't want them to be there. I also don't want to get marked for spam. I recently got an email from somebody. It was a Christian. It was a actually religious organization wanting me to sign up for and it was an advertisement for their conference or something. I'm not really sure how that got, because I know I didn't sign up for it. It was actually sent to the podcast. That's how I knew that we didn't sign up for it, because we just don't use that email for anything like that. I knew I didn't sign up for it, and there was no unsubscribe button. So do you know what I did? I marked it as spam. So guess what? Gmail does not even have to police the fact of whether or not you have an unsubscribe button. If somebody wants to leave your list and they do not see an unsubscribe button, sometimes even if they do, they're going to mark you as spam. And guess what? That's going to get you in even more trouble. And so you don't even want to go down that road. So if you want to end up in the spam folder, go ahead and leave out the unsubscribe button. All right, so that's just a few things that I wanted to go over with you today because I want to talk about subject lines again. We've talked about it before, but I think it's worth visiting again. Before I move on, though, one more thing I would like to talk to you about. If you do not subscribe to David Gaughran's email for authors, you need to do so immediately. He puts one out. I think it's once a week. It's always very informative. It's always hilarious. It's usually not off color. I think he's a pretty clean guy. He does not claim to be a Christian. So if you're tuning into me only for Christian content, I cannot tell you that I'm giving you only Christian content when I say you go to him. But what I can tell you is you're getting solid content for your author career. So he sent on the email this week that was very good. And if you have not subscribed to him, and you want to message me directly, I can send you a link to the web version of his email, because I looked on his blog and did not see this information yet. But you need to subscribe now because he's going to be sending out a series of emails about this. Okay, enough buildup. This past week, I believe it was, maybe it's just last month, Apple made an announcement to the changes that they're making on their phones, which will affect newsletters. They are making some changes in tracking. Now, I don't understand all of this. I am still learning right along with you. This is why I want you to go to subscribe to David Gaughran, because he is really informative and he knows more about this and he's looking into this. But the short of it is that because of what Apple's changing, even if somebody isn't using Apple email, but they're using their Gmail on their iPhones, on their iPads, on their Macs, it will affect open rates. So, for example, they're going to have some sort of way of like, if they see tracking, which all of our email aggregators do, MailerLite, Aweber, MailChimp, all of them use tracking. That's how we know what our open rates are. And that's how we know like what our click rates are. All of them use it. If it uses tracking, it is going to filter it out for their users. This is huge because we don't want to be filtered out. So he's looking into it. What we need to know, here's the information you need today. It doesn't start until September. This new iOS update is not coming until September. The most recent update they had, only 20% of the people got upgraded to it within the first month. So it's a slow upgrade that people do as far as the number of people in the iOS community. So even though it's September, we have until really the full amount of people that use Apple products will not be affected until probably a few months in. So we have time to work on this. We have time to figure this out. So go over and subscribe to David Gaughran's email. I'm missing a comment. Sorry. Do that now so that you don't miss anything about this. Hi, Laura. She says, hi, hello. Hopefully this will help get my newsletters out of the spam folder. I hope so. This is what I've been trying. I've been working on this for actually a few months, and I'm going to go over there now and show you what I've done. So when I first started looking into spam folders and the promotions folders and trying to figure out how do I stay out of it. Now I can't find my thing here. I started researching, and I started looking at other people's blogs about mostly like MailerLite, Aweber, all the companies that do this. They all have blog posts that help you out with this. And one of them had actually several of them had lists of really good subject lines that had good conversions that didn't end up in spam. And so I went through those and I found ones I liked, and then I rewrote them to fit me or other authors. So let me share screen right now so you can take a look at this. Laura, I'm confused. I'm not confused. I am interested. Have you found that you've been put in the spam folder a lot? So I would like to hear what you have to say about that. Okay, so here's what I did. I went to Google Docs so that I wouldn't lose it because I only keep like author business kind of things in Google Docs. Everything else I do in either Word or Scrivener and Vellum. Okay, so I took those subject lines and I converted them. So 9 things you never knew about Jennifer. Are you receiving too many emails from me? Yes, this is another book update, but it's a good one. All right, this next one is red, and it says TL semicolon DNR colon watch the video instead. So too long, did not read, watch the video instead. And then you see it's red and there's a date. So what I've done is I made this master list, and there's a lot here. I mean, there's quite a few of them here. And then when I use them, I highlight them in red or I color them, and I put the date next to it. Because guess what? I can use probably in a couple years, I can use the same one over again or slightly different. Right. So, so here's a great example. Are you missing out on free books? The word free is in there. I'm going to fix that, right? Because this came from a blog post from somebody else, but then I learned about the word free not being good. So I will change that to something else. Are you missing out on books? That's simple. We're going to take out the word books because that still gives me FOMO, fear of missing out. I don't want to miss out on books. Are you missing out on books? Well, open up this email and find out. So that's how I started off, was doing it this way. And then when I have like times that I just don't want, sorry, I just read something. I got distracted. Times that I don't want to write my email, like it's not always easy. then I go on here and I look for a topic that maybe kind of inspires me. All right, Laura says, I have only ever been in the spam folder. Oh, girl. All right, we need to work on that. So, yes, do these things that I said and come back next week and let's talk about that and see if that helps you a lot. My author newsletters have been JPEGs I created in Canva. I heard that may be contributing to my problem as well as accessibility. Yes, yes, 100% yes. So let's talk about that. So at the beginning of this chat, I talked about images and how if your best friend Sally Sue was going to send you an email, she's not going to send you an email that she went into Canva and made an entire image from, right? Sad because I'm like you, Laura. I love the beauty. I love images. I love using Canva. I have a subscription to PicMonkey. I love it so much. I love making the graphics, but they will show up as spam like every day of the week. So with my newsletters, let me pull up one of my newsletters here in a second to show you. Excuse me. It's a time of year for me. I'm going to pull up one of my newsletters so that you guys can see what they used to look like. This might take me a second to do that. How about this one? We'll do this one. This is an oldie but a goodie as it comes up. All right, so I did not understand that that was an issue for sure, the images. And so I used to have a banner that was an image that I liked, and I had all these other things. Let's share screen again. Actually, let me put it in another. I know you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just trying to make it easier for you to see. I'll put it back up here. Okay, so my email looked like this. A graphic, not that fabulous, but I liked it. This is when I still only had 2 books out. In my mind, I'm like, okay, the minute they open it, they see my face because they want them to start recognizing, oh, it's Jennifer Carll-Tong. Every time they get an email, they know what to get from me. Oh yes, she's an author. Because how many times do we subscribe to things and we forget? Like, who is this person emailing me? So I wanted it to be a reminder. And then you go down here, and this one actually is pretty decent. There's not hardly any links in it. Well, it's pretty clean. But look at this. One link. All right, no, this one. There's a link here to buy my book. There's a link here for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, BookBub, and then my unsubscribe. So I had over half a dozen links in every email that were unnecessary. So the pictures in the email, and I was ending up in promotions. So I worked on it a little bit. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Let's head over to here. So let's go back to campaigns. Let's try to see a more recent one. It's hard when it's a book release too. I'm going to have way too many pictures. So let's take a look at this one. This is my most recent. I need to send a newsletter out. I've been really bad. I've had so much going on. All right, so these are this including the unsubscribe link and all the links to go to other places. I really only had one link in here. So we'll view this email. I won't open it in a new window. I'm just going to give you a little insight on it. By the way, this is MailerLite. This is what it looks like on the back end if you aren't familiar. So that is the same link. I did have an image in here with the same link, but only one image. This is just text up here now. So that helps out a ton. So I would suggest, yes, try to take out the image, as many images as you can without making it ugly. You still want to have some images because we're authors and we have book covers and we spend a lot of money or a lot of time on those book covers. And so I would do that. And then try the things that I mentioned earlier and see if that improves keeping you out of the spam folder. All right, so coming up next week, I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about, but I for sure. Oh, I had a spam complaint on that one, even though I had it unsubscribed. I love it when that happens. Here's what I also found out too, Laura, and everyone else that's listening. If you have a small soft bounce, or a hard bounce, a bounce is when the emails don't even take it, like either it's a fake email or the email has shut itself down or something. If you have that low and you only have a few images and you keep the spammy words low, completely out of your subject line in low amounts in your text, you should stay out of the spam folder. You may end up in the promotions tab, but you should be able to stay out of the spam folder. Here's one more trick before I go today that I learned. I learned from Newsletter Ninja, I think is where I learned it, to ask a question in every email. And I try really hard to do that. And I have a few people that respond every single time, but then there's also randomly people that respond just randomly. Like when they get a question, they'll answer it for me, and then I always write them back. But guess what happens when they write you, when they respond? Automatically you're whitelisted in a certain way to where Gmail no longer sees you as a promotional threat because they think you have a relationship with that person that responded, which if you are good and respond back to them, you do have a relationship and your readers see it as a relationship. They want to know you personally. They want to know the person behind the story that they just fell in love with, the characters that they fell in love with. And so if you can write a question and the more people that respond to you, then those people automatically will always get your emails. So that's a good little trick. So when you do your newsletter this week, try to do the things I said to avoid spam. Try to lessen the amount of links that you have. Make sure you always check those links too. And try to lower the amount of images you have and see if that doesn't improve what you have going on. So Laura, I'm looking forward to next week. I have a special guest coming on. She did not confirm for sure that she's coming, but I have another author that should be joining me next week for us to talk about things. That's why I don't want to say what we're going to be talking about because we haven't confirmed. But I do have a great show coming next week. But I do want to know if that made a difference in your newsletter this week. So I hope that was helpful to everybody. I hope that you have had a great writing week so far. And until next time, if you have any questions when we're not live, please message me personally. I would love to be able to answer those questions. And we can also talk about more things on this show as well. So thanks so much for showing up and chatting with me. Thanks so much for those of you that are just listening and don't want to chat. Appreciate all of you for being here. And until